Hello guys, welcome to today's lesson. Today we're going to learn about intervals. An interval on the piano is the distance between two musical notes on the instrument. Now what it means is that when I hit any note on the keyboard, the distance between any two notes on the keyboard is what we call an interval. So as you can see, I'm playing C and F. The distance between C and F is an interval. If I play C and E, distance between C and E is an interval, and so forth. If I hit any note, the distance between those two notes is what we call an interval. Now, understanding and identifying these intervals on the piano is very important because it will help you in creating melody on the keyboard and also to play the right notes on the keyboard. There are various types of intervals on the keyboard, but we are going to limit ourselves to basic intervals for now. Now, these are what we call whole steps and half steps. Okay, so today we're going to learn about whole steps and half steps. Now, what is a half step? If I hit any note on the keyboard, when I take one step from any note on the keyboard, now I'm on the key of C. What will be one step from the key of C? Can you guess? What are you thinking? Is it D? No, that's wrong. One step from C is not D. One step from C is this black note up here. Okay. Now, when we move one step from C, which is this black note up here, we call that a half step. If we move two steps from any note on the keyboard, which is 1, 2, we call it a whole step. So that's the whole concept of half steps and whole steps. All right, let's try it in another key. So let's start on the key of G. What will be a half step from G? That will be this key, this black key here. Now let's try another example. Let's start from the key of E. What will be a half step from the key of E? That would be F. I'm sure you guessed right, because there's no black key in between E and F. Now, what would be a whole step from E? Let's count. 1, 2. That would be this black key up here. All right, let's do one more exercise. Let's start from the key of A. What would be a half step from A? I'm sure you guessed right. It would be this black key up here. And what would be a whole step from A? That would be 1, 2. So that would be B. All right. Now, what would be 3 half steps from A? I'm sure you guessed right. That would be 1, 2, 3. That would be C. Well done. Okay. So that's it for half steps and whole steps. Next, we are going to learn the names of the black keys. But before that, I want us to learn a few terms. I want us to learn what we call in musical terms accidentals, or sharps and flats. If you read music, you would come across what we call a sharp or a flat. A sharp is used when a note is raised, and a flat is a term we use when a note is lowered. Like I said, the black notes derive their names from the white notes. Now, let's look at a typical black note. Now, this black note can be found between the key of F and the key of G. Now, we just learned about accidentals. We learned about sharps and flats. Relative to the key of the key of F, this black note can be considered a sharp. Why? Because it raises the note of the F. This same black note can be considered a flat because it lowers the note of a G. Hence, this black note can be called an F sharp or a G flat. Alright, let's take another example. Let's use this black note right here. This black note falls between C and the D. By virtue of its position, it raises the note of the C, but then it lowers the note of a D. So it can be called a C sharp or a D flat. Mind you, the names can be used interchangeably. So you can either call it a C sharp or a D flat, depending on how you feel. So that's it for the black keys. So now we know the names of the white notes and the black notes. We have a C sharp or a D flat, a D sharp or an E flat, an E, F. What would this be? An F sharp or a G flat, a G. What would this be? A G sharp or an A flat, an A, and then an A sharp or a B flat. We have a B, and then we have a C. Now I know you would have the question, you would ask a question that why don't we call a B a C flat? Yes, we could call it a C flat, but then it already has a name. It has a name, it's already called a B, so we can't call it a C flat. But technically we could call it a C flat. Now the same applies to an E. We could call an E an F flat, but then we wouldn't call it so because it already has a name, which is an E. So now we know the names of all the 12 notes on the keyboard. That's it for this lesson. Stay tuned for the next lesson.